We greet you all with love and we honor your light. We are fascinated about the amount of questions that you have for us. You need to be wise to ask the best questions, and the best questions are those that really help you to progress on your own path towards awakening. We always encourage you to look to the most profound corners of your minds and to observe how your perspectives can change. Today, we want to describe how timelines were created and what are their movements and variations. For some of you, the veil between realities became thinner, and now you can sense and maybe even see through different realities, and you wonder how come all these identities can exist simultaneously without you being fully aware of that. Timelines are stories created by us all and manipulated by those who play with time. You might have heard that there are time wars and that not everyone agrees with living and enjoying the same story. You can move from a timeline to another, and you do so every time when you have to make a choice, even the most common choices. You can change your current timeline upon the choices you make. Time traveling is now and it has been always possible. As always refers to a large amount of time, which relates to the history of the universe, not to that of humankind. There were many different technologies invented to facilitate time traveling, and once space traveling developed, it implied moving through time as well. Please observe that time is always related to space. Once you start to travel through different portals, your view upon space changes, and you come across the idea that these gateways offer also new possibilities of going back in time and also in the future. Some of your minds do not have the ability to understand completely what time travel means, but you already have a glimpse of that, and you know by now that it is a more natural process than you would have expected. You understand how you can move through space and what the distance from one star to another means. You can also understand now that this distance implies time, which is valued differently. A timeline is one version of reality. Timelines can combine and they can collapse. They are supported by the natural laws of physics, those that you know little about right now, but many beings on your planet try to improve and to reach a better understanding upon these concepts. A timeline is a created version of the reality which can be, and it is manipulated by those who know how to interfere with an existent timeline, so they would manipulate the reality for their own benefit or for the benefit of all that exists. Please try to imagine this not from your 3D perspective upon reality, but from a 5D angle, keeping your hearts wide open. There is no fear to be felt, and all that is there has its own universal balance, even when you do not see it. The ones who manipulate the timelines are mostly higher intelligent beings who have mastered time and learned how to create it and how to have certain effects upon it. To realize oneself to this level of creation, a powerful heart and kindness are needed, so the decisions taken will not harm nor interfere with one's life purpose and any other intentions. Free will was always highly valued and supported by all intelligent forms of existence. It is true that there were situations, and there are still different events in your history, and mainly in all universal history, when species try to interfere with timelines, manipulating them towards their own subjective benefit, so they can drag the wished outcome, which was not in the benefit of all creation. There are regulations and special departments in one's society that take care and hold balance of the merging and collapsing of different timelines. Events in history can be changed, but usually major events are not changed because of ethical codes that we all agree upon. Imagine that there are beings who administrate and observe carefully any kind of disruption in the creational process. They do not allow those who come from lower vibrational planets and galaxies to interfere with timelines if it's not necessary for the benefit of all universal beings. You might imagine how, at the beginning, and please imagine this beginning being much further than you imagine it today, we considered that only one timeline existed. When time-traveling technologies were discovered and implemented in those societies, high-intelligent beings started to affect and to create other timelines. At least this is how they were discovered. We can imagine and acknowledge the permanent existence of many timelines from the beginning of the universe, as any choice we take creates a different timeline. This is how parallel realities started and different identities were created. And it all started with duality, though this word has a negative connotation for you. We would say that duality means diversity. Duality was born out of a will to create a large diversity out of the same energy source. Isn't it fascinating how this was possible? The story broke down into smaller pieces, it spread, and new wonderful creations were brought to life. Embrace duality, as it is the seed of love that was sprinkled on earth and took so many different forms, so you can distinguish and recognize it in each and every aspect of creation. Try to see duality as being related with the creation and expansion of different timelines, and understand that this is how the story became complex and took different and astonishing ways of presenting and hiding love. We offer you this information not as logical and completely trustworthy, but as a story that it is the closest to our own timeline and history, and that which you are able to understand now. Thank you for your patience and for your kind thoughts. This transmission was offered to you by the 9-dimensional Pleiadian Collective.